Hey guys, Tola here on December 17th, 2014. It's also WTF Wednesday, so we're going to be talking about Nas. You know, the rapper who sold more than 25 million songs to date. I mean, this guy's awesome. He ranks as one of my top 10, and I watched a documentary about Nas last night. Believe me, dreams do come true. But first, let's get started with some Hanukkah shout-outs, shall we? Because tonight, or last night, was the start of the 8 days commemorating, you know what this is all about. Hanukkah's about the 8 days commemorating the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem during the Maccabean Revolt. Yeah, it took place in 160 BC. But hey, here's 5 things, and happy Hanukkah to everyone celebrating. Here's 5 things you need to know about Hanukkah. Number 1, there's no correct way to spell it. Well, that's a good thing because I have no clue how to spell it. Good. Number 2, presents are for kids, and traditionally it was all about giving money, not gifts. Well, I think we got to go back to tradition, folks, because we all want the cash, right? Number 3, Hanukkah is a tiny minor Jewish holiday, and that's a good thing, especially if you don't like holidays. Number 4, Hanukkah was about war, and it wasn't all about miracles. And as the saying goes, they say, they tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat. There you go. And number 5, you won't impress or you won't make happy any of your Jewish friends at your caroling party if you ask them to sing Hanukkah carols, because I think there's only 3 that exists. So there you go. Again, happy Hanukkah to everyone celebrating. Enjoy. And on that note, let's go around the globe for the latest news. We're bringing you one story today. We're calling it Hackers Gone Wild, because these guys have gone wild. The Guardians of Peace. Talk about guardians. I mean, I don't know what they're guarding, but they came out yesterday and said there's going to be a 9/11 style attack on anyone going to see the film The Interview. You know, The Interview with Seth Rogen and James Franco, comedy about the attempted assassination of North Korean President Kim Jong-un, right? That was supposed to premiere in New York last night. Well, guess what? They canceled the premiere, all these death threats, and the Carmike Theaters canceled all the planned showings because of this group. I mean, they should be called the Guardians of Doom, not Peace. More specifically, or more importantly, they should be called the Guardians of Gotta Get Your Shit Together, because they clearly have to get their shit together. What about freedom of expression, freedom of speech? I mean, what's going on, folks? What's going on in society here? I don't know. But speaking of the get your shit together word, let's roll right into that. Instead of giving it to these bozos, which they deserve it, let's give it to the guy on the treadmill. Did you guys see this? Go to the internet, check it out. A guy's riding on the treadmill. He really needs to get his shit together. He needs to go listen to episode number 6 of my Get Your Shit Together award, Proper Gym Etiquette. He's on the treadmill. This hot babe walks behind him with fiery red hair. So he turns around to look at her and falls off the treadmill. Boom, slams and lands on the ground. He quickly does a little push-up. That was the good news. He kind of recovered nicely doing a push-up. The bad news is, no chance, sucker. I mean, she just looked at him and walked away. So the Get Your Shit Together award goes to the guy on the treadmill, can't keep his shit together. And probably a tie with the Guardians of Doom, but let's give it to the guy. It's more fun. All right, so we're talking WTF Wednesday. I mean, everybody knows this, right? The poet, sage from the Queensbridge projects in Queens, New York. I mean, Nas grew up in the projects. He dropped out of school in 8th grade. I mean, here's a guy that was a poet from when he was a child. Okay, this debut album, Illmatic, came out in 1994. I mean, it's arguably one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. Nas was an East Coast hip-hop rapper during that tension time. You guys remember in the mid-90s. Been around for 20 years. He grew up with death and violence. So how does this guy become one of the greats, right? Why? Because he was focused. He was determined. He believed it. I mean, this all I derived this through the show I watched last night. I mean, here's a guy that believed it since he was a child. I mean, it's not a lot of happiness running through that environment. They showed a picture of him with all his buddies when he was younger. And you look in the picture, most of the guys were in jail or dead. And he said, I could have been one of those guys. He's very humble about it. Nas was always confident, but he wasn't cocky. He was that, there was a cockiness there that was really all about being strong and focused and believing that he was great, and he went on to prove it. So there you go. Believe me, guys, anything is possible. So if you're someone out there in a current situation, you don't like your current situation, no worries, because that could change. Believe me, that could change in an instant. So believe it on WTF Wednesday. And in Nas's words, he said, I wanted to do Illmatic as proof that I was here. Because why are we here, right? Do you question that? Hey, sometimes I do. What are we doing here? Make your impact on society. Anybody can. Whether it's being, it doesn't really matter. For Nas, it was the poetry. It was the rap of the streets that he identified with and he brought it to the world. So there you go. Bring what you have inside you to the world. And on that note, I'm Rich Tola. And remember, dreams do come true. But hey, what do I know?